Hey, what's happening? Hope you're doing well today. This is Jerry with Wealth Dynamics. Thank you for tuning in. I help you do three things: make money, keep money, and multiply it. And I help you do those three things because I really help you do one thing. I help you build wealth so that you can own your potential. And so today, because of that, I'm going to talk to you about how to save $50,000 to $100,000. Okay, I've done it, which means if I've done it, you can do it. And it didn't take that long. Okay, so I'm going to get this thing rolling, and we're going to talk about this today. So to start this out, I didn't start with 100 grand in the bank. I didn't start with 50 grand in the bank. I started with zero. Okay, and this was probably 7 years ago. I was on the Dave Ramsey plan. I was doing the 7 baby steps. So I was doing the $1,000 emergency fund, and I was doing that over and over and over and over and over. And what kept on happening is, I would plateau at like 700 bucks. Like, what a place to plateau, right? $700, and I'm struggling to get past that number. When I finally got past it and I got to my 1,000, guess what happened? The shit hit the fan. I had an emergency. I had to spend the 1,000. I ended up back in debt, and I would go back to zero, and I would have to start all over again. Did you know I was on baby step 1 for probably, I would say, at least 24 times. I had to reset back to that first $1,000. So what happened is I realized that there's no way I'm going to get wealthy by saving $1,000. I got frustrated. And so I actually had an incident where I made this really big sale one time. 10 grand came into my bank account. That was my first $10,000 target. And I thought that was great. It was more money than I had than anyone else that I knew had. And I was like, man, I got 10 grand in the bank. But the 10 grand disappeared. I spent the money. It went somewhere else because I didn't know how to keep the money. All right. So what I learned finally after 7 years, almost 7 years, I did it wrong for 6.5 years and kept on restarting. When I finally figured this one thing out, it only took me 6 months to get 50K saved. Okay. This one thing is this. It's called the 40% rule. The 40% rule is what the top 1% of wealth have done historically with their savings for centuries in our country. So they save 40% of their gross income. 40% of their gross income goes to savings, and with that 40%, it's sacred. They don't touch it. And so when I started saving 40% of my gross income, I realized I'm actually putting money aside now. So money would come in, 40% would come off the top, and I would stick it directly in the bank. A few things were caused by this. I was very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable because 40%, man, if I made 10 grand, that means I only had 6 left. I still had to pay my taxes, and that wasn't comfortable for me. So it forced me to increase my income. And so I did increase my income. I went from 10,000 to 20,000, and guess what? When you save 40% of 20,000, it's a bigger number. So you get there faster. Just logic, right? Like you take 40% of a bigger number, and you're going to save a bigger number. So that's what I noticed. Now the other thing that happened is when I got to 50,000, it only took me about 6 months to get there. So I got from probably $3,000 or $4,000 to about 50,000 in a course of about 6 months by following the 40% rule. When I got to 50,000, then I realized, like, I got to 50, I want to go to 100. And so what did I do? I kept saving 40% of my income, and then I forced my income up. When I forced my income up, that actually caused me to put more of that bigger chunk again in savings, and I went from 50,000 to 100,000 in about 6 months again. All right? The reason I share this is because it was as simple as it sounds. Commit to the number, put it into your sacred account every single month. You're going to be scared. You're not going to like it. You're going to be uncomfortable. Nobody cares. Do it anyways. If you really want it, do it anyways. And when you get to that target, increase the income. And when you get to that target, increase the income. All right, the reason people don't do this is because they don't have a plan for it. That's B. B, nobody else is doing it. Their friends, their family, nobody else is saving 40%. Your environment doesn't do it, so why would you do it? And C, nobody holds you accountable. You don't have a coach. You don't have somebody telling you to do that and checking in on you. That's where I come in, all right? So I'm going to post an article in the comments, and this article is going to break down the exact steps I took. There's 4 things that I did to get there. And in addition to that, I want to offer to coach you one-on-one to make sure you get this number too. If I had a coach, I think I would have gotten there in 2 years, not 7 years, because I would have learned the information and I'm not a good listener, so I would have heard it, probably not listened for about 18 months, then decided to listen, and I would have knocked it out in 6 months again. That's better than 7 years. Thank you for watching. If you would like to save $50,000, click the link, hit me up on message. I would love to help you with that. Have a great Friday. I'll talk to you soon.